Hello there, this means you need help with factorization. Don't worry, you're not the only one. Maybe you're just using this as a tool to revise. Perfectly fine. I hope this helps. Let me know. Let's get going. So make sure that you've got a copy of the workbook. I think it's just so good if you have this out in front of you and you can follow along as we go. And then, of course, it is even so much better if you have tried this all on your own. It's easy to sit and when somebody else is doing maths, to just nod and say, oh, yeah, no, I get that. But then the moment you have to do it on your own, then you kind of second guess yourself and you're not too sure. So it's easier when you try, or easier when you've tried it on your own first. And then as you go along with me through all the sums, then it's kind of easier to see, okay, so that's where I went wrong. And then you can kind of correct that error. So I highly recommend doing it that way, but ultimately I can't tell you what to do. I can just make suggestions. So in grade 9, and just, grade 9s, you know what, even the grade 12s are like, I wish I was better at factorization, because you just use it all the time in grade 10, in grade 11, and in grade 12. Okay. If the question says you need to factorize, then in your mind, you need to go through this checklist in your mind. You need to consider, okay, so if they saying I need to factorize, I either need to take out a highest common factor. I recommend always starting there. Then you need to check and see, is it maybe difference of two squares? Is it maybe a trinomial? Or do I maybe have to group in order to be able to factorize? So you need to be able to identify those four different things. You will get better at it. Takes practice. Let's start with taking out highest common factors. Then we're going to do difference of two squares. Then we're going to tackle trinomials. We're going to do grouping, and then we're going to do a mix of where we put everything together. Okay, let's have a look. So for the first one, we are taking out common factors. Think about what it means. We are taking out common factors. So we need to see what the factors are that these two terms have in common. These two terms, we need to see if they share factors. Well, if we look at the variables, we can see that they share an a squared. We can take out an a squared as a common factor. For the numbers, what number can go into 6 and 8? Must be 2. And look for the highest number, hey? Must be the highest common factor. And your remainder always goes into a set of brackets, because after you factorize grade 9s, you want one term. All right, what is left in the first term? Well, 6 divided by 2 will be 3, and there will be 1a left. And then 8 divided by 2 will be 4, and there won't be any a's left because we took out a squared. All right, and there that one is fully factorized. So we just took out a highest common factor. Let's look at number 2. Okay, so we've got two separate terms, term 1 and term 2. Term 2 is just x. So we need to find what they have in common. But the second term that's only got an x to give. So we can only take out an x there. Is there an x in the first term to give? Yes, we can take it out. So we've got x as our common factor, and the remainder goes into a set of brackets. We are left with one term as a final answer. What is left in the first term? Well, we've got 2 left, and we've got y squared left. And then be careful. In the second term, there's not nothing left. X divided by x. There is a 1 left. We are left with plus 1. What is a way to check? Grade 9. So if we multiply this back out, we've got 2xy squared and then plus x. If we multiply it back out, after we've taken out a common factor, we need to get back there. And it works, right? So we can do that. Okay, let me just get rid of all of that. Perfect. Fully factorized, we've taken out the common factor. Let's look at the third one. So now with the third one, we've got two terms. There is term 1, and then we've got term 2. So we need to find something that they share. Do you notice that the brackets are exactly the same? So in this case, our common factor is that, the brackets. And as always, your remainders goes into a second set of brackets, just one term. After we've taken this out of the first term, we are left with that in the first term. And after we've taken that out as a common factor, we are left with that in the second term. And there it's fully factorized. We took out a common bracket. Let's look at number 4. Now, this is important. This is where we're going to deal with the sign change. If we look at term 1 and term 2, at this stage, can you see that there's no common factors? You can't say that x is a common factor because we can't pull an x out of a bracket. You can't pull something out of a bracket to make it a common factor. The whole bracket needs to be the same in order to be able to take it out. It would be amazing if we could just swap those two around, because then the brackets will be the same, right? So let's go ahead and do that. Oops, what's going on there? 2x minus 5. And then, what do we need to remember, grade 9s, when we want to flip those two around? The sign in front of the bracket must just change. And now they're the same. Can you see it's exactly the same as the other one? Take out the common factor. Left over in the first term, left over in the second term. And there you go, fully factorized. And those are taking out common factors, common brackets, and the sign change when you want to flip your brackets around. Okay, I hope that went well.